Greetings from Rauta. Today is time for yet another Indie 5 review video with 5 different, let's call them indie recordings or indie releases, and this time it's all vinyl blast. A couple of these vinyls, of course, have their versions on CD, which I will briefly go through with these albums in question. But let's start with these beauties right here. To be honest, I don't know in which order should I go, so I guess the proper order would be in alphabetical one, which makes me start with a non-metal album. Make no mistake, this is released by Dunkelheit Productions. This one is called Iagon, and well, it's a dungeon synth which I have previously gone through with some of the Rauta videos, so obviously it fits here very well, even though not being metal. This one is called Tome of the Crystal Wizard, and it's a 12-inch. It looks like a full-length album, but to be honest, it's just an interestingly enough, it's a beautiful one-sided 12-inch, as you can pretty much see. Whoa, see all the reflections and all that stuff. And it comes with a poster, obviously, giving you the cover art and poster. This is also here as a CD, very much the same kind of a deal here, so not much to show really, but as the habit is, we'll go through these ones quickly. So this is a dungeon synth akin to Morty's and others of, say, kind of early 90s, which means in essence very kind of a simple, kind of a medieval type of instrumental music. And well, to be honest, Iagon is not bringing anything new to the table in the terms of being very creative with the music, but it's not doing it in a bad way either. Let's just give it this way. You probably heard it all before. From the very first tune on this album to the very last one, it's kind of clear that this is not so much trying to create a new path for dungeon synth, but more like tap to the vein of late 80s, early 90s, with very retro-ish sound. So it's all instrumental, all keyboardish, and just very simple in design. This is the kind of stuff that you either like or you just, well, I wouldn't call it hating, but there's probably not so much a middle ground. Most of this stuff isn't exactly pushing the right buttons with me. It's not like I dislike it, but it's not, giving me the warm, fuzzy feeling. But like I said, if you liked Morty's and the like, you're most likely to fall in love with Iagon or find it interesting anyway. The next one in question is yet another 12-inch. It's called Infidel Reich from United States of America. This is also an EP, even though it's 12-inch. No poster included. This is released by Helter Skelter, which is kind of a sub-label of Regain Records. So here's the extra inlay sheet with lyrics and band photos. You might know this gentleman, Dr. Reichenstein, being the same guy from an American death metal band Acheron. The main guy, Vincent Crowley, he's doing vocals here. And there are also some members that have played in other bands, such as Asphyx. But let's just stick with Infidel right here and focus on the great art here. It's very warlike. Some might say it has some kind of resemblance to 1940s style, but very modern, kind of a off button here with its kind of a warlike theme. I must say, really nice cover art, very provocative, I guess. But it totally fits the theme here, because this is kind of like old school death metal in the mid-tempo way. Some might call it death thrash, but I think it's kind of a pointless to mention thrash here because basically all old school, especially the very first wave bands from America anyway, are anyway more or less thrash related. So this is just kind of a mid-tempo stuff, which I guess has some similarities with Asphyx and the like, but also kind of a American death metal vibe. Uh, One could say it's also related to bands like Thru and the like. Not so much melodic and not so many catchy riffs as such, but you know, very true to the style of the early 90s, late 80s kind of a death metal. So all in all, quite nice and EP. This is so far the only release by the very band here. So you might have to wait for their next release. This is already from 2017, so because it's still the only one from the band so far, be sure to check it out. Then we go all the way to Colombia with a band called Lucifera, la cacería de brujas. This is a quite new band as far as I could gather. It's there are only a couple of members on the background, but as far as I could gather, it's supposed to be nowadays, I guess, 4-man or 4-people band, not all on the other guys. So I don't know why the lineup picture has only 2 members here. But anyway, here is the inlay sheet with lyrics and all that stuff. Obviously, the LP, and this is full length 12-inch. So it's full album, about 39 minutes or so. And then we have a nice looking poster to complement the whole deal here. And what can I say about it? This is kind of a like old school thrash death metal split, or kind of a mixed genre hybrid release, and it's very much kicking to the balls, making your nuts go all red from the pain, because this is just some genuine, very much like 1980s kind of stuff here. Mostly it's quite catchy. In fact, there's some really killer riffs and killer solo stuff that makes your head bang and fist up in the air, but it's not all the way just, you know, full success. By no means I want to kind of slander this band, but I mean, a little bit more polishing could have been done here, because now it seems like the first tracks are the actual cure material, and then it kind of goes a slight decline. Overall, still a very nice release, and I totally think that people into South American maniacs and especially death thrash kind of style should be checking out Lucifera. I was told by the band, by the label that is, that you're sure to like it, and I must say they were right. This is released by Dunkelheit, release of this spring or summer. I didn't get confirmed what's the actual release date, but it's supposed to be somewhere around March, April, or then early summer. Those release dates online are not always the truth. So anyway, quite fresh. Be sure to check out these Bay Beats, one of the better releases from this pile. Also available on CD. As you can see, the art is not that cool as with the vinyl, but it's here with them lyrics, band photos. So basically the same art, same lyrics, everything is here with the CD as well, if you are one of those who prefer the so-called silver disc above the black magic. Then we go to Sweden with a 7-inch release. This is Ultra Silvam with the self-titled 7-inch. This was originally released as demo. So basically this is demo reprint, reissue, now on vinyl. And as far as I could gather, there is no CD release available of this band. So if you want to get this one with this nice poster, be sure to get this 7-inch from Shadow Records, once again from Sweden. So here it is, 2-sided 7-inch with 1 track on the other side and 2 tracks obviously on the other. And this is basically kind of a very Swedish black metal, and to be honest, it kind of shows that this is just a demo recording, Basically all the elements are right there. It's kind of a fast, it's furious, it's kind of crazy, it's a little bit raw and all that stuff, but it's not really focused. I mean, it makes sense a lot to be released this as a demo. I'm not so much sure about the 7-inch because this is quite unpolished version of the band. I mean, you can have all the ideas right there, but this is very much like non-finished product, if you will. So for collectors, definitely a must-see. The kind of a thing like, hey, I already was a fan of the band before it got famous or big or anything like that. But this is not the best these guys can do. I'm very sure about it because, I mean, this is just kind of a typical middle ground for Swedish black metal. You probably heard it a million times before. That is, if you have heard a lot of Swedish black metal like I have. So it's like I have a hard time to kind of like getting too enthusiastic about it. Nothing bad about it, but it's kind of like, yeah, heard it a million times before, and it's not that good beat production, songs, vocals, or anything. Quite nice, but no cigar. And last but not least, we're gonna stick in Sweden with a band called Voodus, and this is Serpent, Seducer, Savior with thin inch. So we got covered them all: 12-inch full length, 12-inch EP, 10-inch EP, 7-inch EP. So pretty much all formats covered. And this is only a 2-track thing with nice cover with this, kind of I don't know what it's called, this kind of embedded color. Then we have just a band kind of logo, this kind of a basic image, and then line up with some lyrics, and then obviously the actual vinyl here, which is once again 1 track on each side. Now the first track on the A side is actually 2 minutes and then 6 minutes and then some long, and it's kind of a melodic black metal akin to Vatine. Now these guys are not first timers in this band. Now Voodus is not their first band. This is basically a continuation of their earlier band, which was more like Black Death. But with this band, this is kind of their fresh start. And after this one, there has been a full-length album, which I was supposed to get for review early 2019, but whatever had happened never arrived here. Anyway, the other track on the B side is more than 12 minutes long, and even though they are very much the same style, this repeating pattern of creating lengthy tracks is not without problems, obviously. Being kind of a melodic, kind of a raw, kind of a straightforward, but also able to have a diversity with tempos and all that stuff. This band manages to be, despite the length, to keep the music that is quite interesting. But like I said, it's not without problems, because obviously when you have really lengthy tracks, sometimes you lack the structure that is kind of essential for people to kind of keep the patterns going on. Our minds are usually, I'm not claiming this to be for everybody, but usually we need kind of repeating patterns in order to just kind of like the consistency of any given song or music, be it melody, riff, chorus parts, or whatever. And this is the problem that this album has, because unless you are by definition interested in more complex compositions with lengthy tracks and all that stuff, this will be sort of a minor failure, flaw with the songs. But overall, I mean, the songs are quite nice to listen to. The production is quite okay, and there's nothing to be bitch about the vocals. So it's very much in the same vein of Vatine. So if you are into that kind of stuff, you are quite likely, in my opinion, to like Voodus as well. Is it gonna, however, make a big deal? Is it better than Vatine or new next big thing in the Swedish black metal thing, the scene? I don't think so. I think this is just a kind of a good promise of how the future for Voodus will look like. I had I think one spin with the digital files of the full-length album, and that's why I was waiting for it to come for review, because it sounded really good, even though very lengthy an album. So I think the guys have progressed since this 10-inch EP. But like I said, it's like no cigar, not just yet anyway. So quite nice, but a little bit of a problematic, kind of a challenging, kind of acquired taste of a release. But nevertheless, definitely worth checking out. So if all in all I have to sum up all these 5 releases, I think this time I got quite a nice load of different albums. The only different case is this Iagon, which with its dungeon synth is once again for acquired taste only. But with Infidel, Reich, Lucifera, Voodus here, I think all very solid releases, even if they are not just a kind of a bullseye masterpieces. But definitely all are also bands that you might want to include in your radar, so to speak. So keep checking out those samples. There you will find links up below in the description box. So good luck with these new bands. Hope you will like at least some of them. At least I had a good time with them, so hope they will be pleasing to your pair of ears as well. Anyway, take care and see you soon with more 85 reviews coming your way.